the lords of karma, and how they seem to, from what I'm seeing, is have something to do with some people and leave others in the grave undisturbed or as ghosts. So I quite don't understand or what makes sense about them.
That's actually a good question. I've always kind of wondered if the Lords of Karma were nothing more than mental constructs. In other words, are they something that is just produced by the mind, or are they real beings?
Well, that's a good question too, isn't it, young man? No, they're just like anybody else, but they're self-appointed politicians. This is, you've got all these ideas that people have created around things, just like the Lord God idea and all the things and the doctrines and the stories and et cetera, et cetera. All this foo-foo, that's what people look at. They don't go right to the source. In other words, the Lords of Karma, just like the IRS or whatever, they're just, they're agencies. They're self-appointed individuals, hierarchy, that have been agreed to, just like we have governments here. You look at the United States a couple of years ago, how it was created, and people decided, well, again, they were basically coerced and marketed into, oh, gee, we need government. We need to be governed. We need laws, etc. So again, these people that control others, and the Lords of Karma, they're their own fanfare like anything. They're politicians. And they have their position, again, just like the FBI, the IRS, the Securities Exchange Commission, on and on and on, all these things that have been created. And again, we got the foo-foo stories, like the saviors and all these other things. We got the foo-foo stories, we got the doctrines, but really they're politicians. And so, it's all funny stuff in creation as you wake up to see it and eventually decide to, have a purpose. That's why you came here, but most people forgot that. They'd rather go after a career. And then the real purpose is standing completely real with the all is. That's something amazing. But in the meantime, yes, we all have to deal with these knuckleheads, just like we have to deal with the governments here and what they're doing. And it's all about control. It's all about absolute control. It's not about fair judgment, this or that or whatever. These are individuals with free will. They can do and decide whatever they want. And they got to deal with it too. They got to deal with their own karma, etc. But that's all they are. They're just like any other politician.
I like that, hearing that they're self-appointed, because that means I'd like to unappoint them. In other words, basically fire them. It's not that we should, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any kind of, rules or any kind of, learning process. But, at the same time, I kind of feel constricted. I kind of feel like, no, they just want to lay out karma on us. I'm kind of wondering, really, how much hold karma really does have. If we're making, if we basically lay that on ourselves by believing in it so much, does it become much harder to break out of? I was just asking if our belief in karma makes it harder to break the karma.
Absolutely, simply because when you use the idea of belief with anything, you've tied yourself to it, because there's no such thing as belief. Even though we like to use that word, but it's just an idea that mind fogs people. Life isn't isness. See, that's old stuff. That's old school. Okay. It's isness. This is the new nowness, to recognize this. Life itself hasn't changed. It's just that we've been brought up through all these ideas. Even Paul used all these ideas. They were all cutesy, but they were for being the babysitter. That's it. And so, no. It's a new position now because of, this is why we're here, to go through all these lifetimes and recognize this. But it's not about them being there or that. or whatever. No, this is recognizing what's real as opposed to trying to fix anything, because that's the illusion. See, that's the illusion that keeps getting people, is that they think that, oh, if we get rid of them or we do this or whatever. No, because it's your awareness. See, by the very fact that you move things around in creation, no matter what it is, even if you eliminated all creation, all karma, because there's no such thing, but you only have karma simply because you have agreement to it until you recognize truly in your real awareness and what the is that you don't have it. But that's a big journey, you see. So again, it's very interesting what this karma thing is. It's not what you think it is or what you've been told.
Well, that's good to know.
But you still got to get through it. So see, again, you can use that literal mind, but it's going to fool you every time because it doesn't know. Yeah, you do know something, but there's a lot more that you don't know, and that is its recognition now to recognize how to not have that. It's not just...
Well, does it have to do with breaking agreements or ending agreements?
That's a start, just like your dreams, etc. And the real side, that's a start, but those are just the first steps, young man. It's the real recognition with your intent. And again, most people have no idea because of how they've been taught. And again, it's just like Ramon's experience. You know, the boys are prompting him to read the books, to do something, okay? And so, and there's only so much time, and he's getting the hint that there's only so much time, and this is very, very real, because as things start to occur here in the physical, your attention is going to be drawn to that personal self, your concerns or whatever. And remember what Paul said, all it takes is one thought, and that's very real. And for the most part, you have a whole lot of attachments still. You know, just thinking in the surface world sense is not going to do it. That doesn't do anything. It's with your real awareness and how it operates the 5 bodies and seeing all those 5 bodies. You got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole lot to do. And you can earn your way if you pay attention to what's going on. It's not the old ways of thinking and believing and just humming and being a nice person. No, we've come up through that. It's doing something real with the whole of life. And you got to figure out your position. You know, do you have a purpose here, or are you just hanging around listening? You see, that ain't going to do it. And you know, there was this one fella, very well-to-do with the ancient Chinese family, richest family in the world. I knew him personally for 4 years, Ava and I. Thought he was going to the real universes because he knew the real guides. He had been in Eckankar. He went through all these things. He just was the know-it-all because, again, he was, you know, the well-to-do. He's 76 years old. Well, I saw him the night before, and I was sitting there with Rebazar too, and Rebazar looked like Rod Serling. And so that was the hint. And then I saw Rebazar take him away. Albert's in the lower astral realm with Rod Serling, the Twilight Zone. You see, he thought because he knew the guides, and he thought because he attended some of the Skypes, and he thought because he read some of the books, that he was going to go to the real universes. No, it's not a place. It's a recognition. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what you think. That's not it.
I see.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what initiation you have or whatever, because if you don't recognize it, you got nothing. And you got to earn that too. You got to earn that recognition, because life knows when you recognize it. Life knows your intent. Life knows everything about you, your sincerity, everything. So just because you've gone through teachings and doctrines and words and all these things, and you've collected all this stuff, it all equals 0, because these are references only, not the true reality. You got to figure out how to recognize this, stand real with it, 100% sincere. And so that's the journey now.
Let me ask you, I appreciate your being here. I really appreciate your taking my questions. But one of the issues that I keep coming across is that, when I left Eckankar, it was because I'd been attacked. And I know that they're coming to a point now where there's going to be a lot of attacks. But one thing that I never really had was any anger at Harold. And the reason I never had any anger at Harold is, I had a little, I guess, at one point. But the truth is, I honestly don't think he's holding the rod of power. I think that at this point, he's really trying to prevent what's coming, because I think there's going to be a literal psychic war in Eckankar. And I could be wrong. But with all the attacks that I've seen and everything that I've seen going on there, my suspicion is that it's dangerous for me to be there, and that's one of the reasons why he wanted me to leave. He can't protect me. And so that's the only issue that I have, is I find it difficult sometimes to read the new books, because basically, there's a lot of attacks there as well. But it's in a whole different context, and it's where the villain, the villain at one point was a hero. So these are when I remember from back in the 90s what Eckankar looked like, and Harold at that point was superb. I'm talking about before this big schism occurred later on that that you are very, very much aware of. But the point is, in the 90s, he was able to do things that were quite incredible. And I have a hard time reconciling this, because I can't see him as the villain. I don't know anything about Joan. Okay, I have never met her. I've never seen her on the inner. I have no clue what she's all about, other than what you've said in your books. So it's kind of hard to reconcile that. And this is where I'm always finding that there's difficulty. So I wanted to explain that to you so you understand where it is that I have this reticence. It's going to be hard to resolve that, but I'm working on it. I know I'm supposed to be here, and I know I'm supposed to be learning from you, but I think it's important that you know that. And if you don't already know it, I have to bring it up. But in any case, I thank you for taking my questions.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Charles. And what you just said, I've heard 100 times. Because again, that's your personal self, and whatever you think or decide or whatever, see where that goes? Harold, yes, having this or that, or what's going to happen in Eckankar or whatever. Okay, whatever. What's going to happen with the rest of the world? What's the cabal going to do, etc. See, again, that's your personal self. That has nothing to do with learning to recognize the is. So, yep, those issues you've created. That's with your life, and you decide how you're going to deal with it. Has nothing to do with what's being presented here. Excellent. I'm just giving references. Yes, I'm just giving references. So again, we all have different experiences, and I'm not here to convince anybody. Many times I tell people to, go worship your gods, because again, if that's all you can see, go do it. It's fine. You have free will. You have the choice to do it. But yes, you're here, but the idea is that if you want to succeed, that's your choice, but you got to figure it out.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's up to you. So it's not up to me. All I can do is present it. And yeah, the books are references. I have my own experiences, but Harold was really never there, so to speak, because, Joni was behind the scenes with Darwin. I knew Darwin too. I saw the whole thing going on. Harold was picked because he was easy to manipulate. Joni has written all the scripts for him. That's why he has notes in his hand on stage. Harold doesn't even know who he is. And now he's in such darkness, etc. But I have no concern. I'm not making out Harold to be the bad guy. Actually, I'm grateful to go through the experience, and I'm grateful, you might say, for what they did. They had free will. They chose to do it, and it's a great example of what not to do, because it's not working. You're looking at the surface world. Everybody is, and that's why all the Ekkists are pizza dough on the real side, because they are so duh and so passive with everything that Joni has put out there, just like the people wearing the masks out there. They're all passive with the system of the governments, thinking that, oh, we got to wear a mask. See, that's just how it is. And that's choice. That doesn't make
Yeah.
people out to be the bad guy, okay? But we have nothing to do with that. I'm giving as many references as I can, but I continually tell people to learn to recognize the is. Then you will see past all this stuff, because it ain't going to matter which way it goes. It's all phenomena. But if you're caught up in it, then it becomes your reality.
Well, I feel like I've got a limited understanding, but I appreciate basically
It takes
the
a lot. Takes a lot.
Yeah.
And the biggest part is getting through yourself, Charles. It's not about what's going on in the world. It's yourself. You got to get through that first. Yeah. Yeah, you got to work on yourself, and you decide how you're going to be in relationship to what can be recognized. That's a lot, and most people don't want to do that. They don't want to see that. They don't want to, etc. go there. But it's not. It's more than just, oh, I know this, or I know the guides, or I have experiences with RealBazaar. Again, like RealBazaar used to say, experiences are a dime a dozen. It's not about the experience. It's if you can see through it and recognize what's real. And again, most people stick with the experience. They'll go, oh, gee, I had experiences years ago with RealBazaar. Well, guess what? That means nothing.
agreed.
Yeah, that means nothing at all. And you think, what do you think RealBazaar and the boys are thinking? You know, they can't make you, see. They can't make you do that. They can give you experience, which they do. That's the real side. But they can't make you see and recognize what makes sense with all life. See, for the most part, and just like the Ekkas, it's all about them. It's all about the me, me, me. Oh, I want to be spiritual. Oh, I want to be this, and I want to be that. See, it's all the me, me, me. They're not seeing what life is. They're not seeing how life sees itself. Not at all. It's all about the little me, because that's how they've been taught. And so that's not us either. It's learning to see how the is sees and forgetting that little me. And once you do that, all those little foo-foo things that you hold so dear, they'll disappear. Unless you still want them. But it's up to you. That's a big choice, isn't it? See, most people want things. Just like in book 2, Heather, one of my sweeties, while I was married, I had a girlfriend for over 20 years because RealBazaar brought her into my life. He brings everything, him and Paul, because of everything that I'm doing. But when it reached the 7th level, she wanted to turn back. She felt that she'd lose herself. She wouldn't. She would have gained. But that was her idea. That took her back. And now today she's going into future lifetimes. I've seen her on the real side. She's a great person. She's wonderful. But I don't get it.
I think some people like to be here, and they like to be able to create.
She does, and that's her choice. And so my former wife, former daughter, brother, etc. Hey, I left at the best of times because this is what I'm doing. It's real. It makes sense. I've already done all that stuff for lifetimes. I've even done it here. Not doing it anymore. Doesn't make sense. And what's coming up in this world, watch out. Yeah, because it's real. It's coming. They're doing it.